The EOS R is a great camera. By all means, it can take great looking photos and videos, but should you get it in 2022? Well, today I'm going to be here to answer that question. And before I deep dive into why I believe you should or shouldn't get this camera, I'm going to tell you exactly who it's for. The EOS R in 2022 is for photographers and people that are just starting to dabble with video. This is not a video-centric camera whatsoever. So if that's all you came here to find out about, I hope I've been able to answer your question. If you'd like to learn why it is for photographers and why it is for people starting to dabble in video, but not people that are taking video seriously, well, let's now dive into today's video. So let's talk about some specs when it comes to the EOS R. It's got a 30 megapixel sensor, which for 2022 standards is great. The Canon R6, which is shooting this video right now, currently puts out a majority of my photo and all of my video work with its 20 megapixel sensor, 10 megapixels less, and it is stunning. I deliver some really high-end client work with this camera, and not one person has ever said anything about the 20 megapixel image. So with the EOS R having 30 megapixels, this is more than enough. It also makes it a really solid photo camera. The EOS R also has dual pixel autofocus, which is great. Canon is renowned for amazing autofocus. It's got the beautiful Canon color science built into the camera, which is stunning. Regardless if you're shooting photos or videos, you will always be benefiting from the Canon color science. You can shoot 4K 30 frames per second, but in a 1.5 times crop. We'll touch on that a little later. And you can also shoot in 1080p 60 frames per second. Unfortunately, the camera does not have in-body image stabilization, which is a huge downside. Nearly all consumer mirrorless cameras these days are rocking some form of in-body image stabilization, and it does hurt the EOS R a lot. So with the main specs out of the way, you can see why this camera starts to stack up for photography. Not only does it have those Canon colors, great autofocus, and an amazing 30 megapixel sensor, but it's also got great dynamic range when you're shooting raw in contrasty areas. This camera will nearly cover all of your photography needs for a majority of you out there, so if you're looking to pick up one of these for photography, you cannot go wrong. Unfortunately, where the EOS R starts to slide is in the video department. I briefly touched on this going over the specs and in the intro of this video, but let's dive into it a little bit more. So we know the camera can shoot 1080p at 60 FPS and 4K at 30 FPS, but of course with that 1.5 times crop. In my opinion, the 1.5 times crop is a huge negative strike against the EOS R, as it pretty much makes any wide angle shooting near impossible in 4K. Now this is rectified on the Canon EOS R6 and R5, only having a 1.05, not 1.5 times crop on 4K, which makes it a dream. It's pretty much unnoticeable. With that being said, on the EOS R you can shoot in C-Log1, but not C-Log3. This means you're not unlocking all the color depth you otherwise would have shooting C-Log3 on a Canon R6 or an R5, and you're also not getting the most dynamic range out of your video shots. With that being said though, the EOS R does have a flippy screen, which is super handy for both photo and for video, but video especially if you're looking to make any kind of vlogs or any kind of videos where you need to get a strange angle. This makes it a dream. So with this being said, I believe the EOS R is perfect for anyone just looking to get started with video. If you're taking video seriously at all, I would not recommend this camera, and I'd recommend stepping up to at least the Canon EOS R6 or something like the A7 III, a bit more on the budget side, or even the A7S III if you've got a little bit more cash to splash. Something else that I want to touch on with the EOS R is its durability. While on paper it might not be weather sealed to absolute perfection, I can personally tell you, and I can attest for this camera, that it is going to put up with some abuse. This camera can take it, and in my opinion, Canon's build quality on nearly all of their cameras are super rock solid. I've shot all the way from the 600D up to the 70 and 80D, into the 5D3, the 5D4, the EOS R, and now the EOS R6, and not one camera has broken on me. I even shot with the 6D for quite a time. I cracked the back of that screen, and it still works flawlessly to today. And the EOS R does not let you down at all in this category. While we're talking about the physical aspects of the EOS R, it does have two pretty big flaws. Unfortunately, it's only got one SD card slot, which makes it really tough for professionals if you want to be shooting JPEGs on one SD card, RAWs on the other, or just have a constant flow of video to spill over from one SD card to the other, or just be filming to both SD cards or shooting to both SD cards at one time. This is something you can't do. It's a shame, and I wish they had two SD cards. It's also only got 2 dials and some very strange kind of weird back tab thing on the back of the camera. I personally never used this thing and I found it really fidgety, but with that being said, these 2 dials are handy, but cameras like the EOS R5 and the R6 have 3, which makes things a lot more easier and really improves the quality of life when you're using your camera. So with all this being said, should you buy an EOS R in 2022? Well, in my opinion, if you can get a pretty good price on one, absolutely. If you're not taking video too seriously, you're more than happy to deal with 1080p 60 FPS, then it is for you. The photos and the colors that are going to come out of this are going to be stunning. The autofocus is basically flawless, and you can shoot in C-Log 1. With that in mind, if you do need 4K uncropped, you need 4K 60, you want to be able to shoot in C-Log 3, the EOS R may not be for you. If you're also a bit more on the professional side of things and you need a bit more of a professional setup, a camera with more than 1 SD card slot and 3 dials to control your aperture, shutter speed, and ISO all at once, well, then this camera probably isn't for you. So guys, that wraps up my review of the EOS R in 2022. Let me know if you've got one in the comments below, and let me know if you're gonna pick one up, or maybe this video made you not pick one up. Let me know your thoughts down below, subscribe if you are new, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.